In India's legislatures, not all members are elected. Some are nominated for their special contributions and expertise. But the manner of this nomination has often been a subject of debate. Hello and welcome to Drishti IAS. My name is Saloni Nandkyoliar, and in this video, we will discuss the recent debate on the nomination of MLAs to Jammu and Kashmir and how will the LG nominate them. So there were petitions that were filed in Jammu Kashmir High Court which said that the LG should nominate members based on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. He should take recommendations from the Council of Ministers. But Union Home Ministry in a response has released an affidavit which says that LG can nominate 5 members without Council of Ministers advice. So the Union Home Ministry has said that LG can function unilaterally. He does not need to take any recommendations from the State Council of Ministers. But the petitioners feel otherwise. So this is what the entire debate is all about. It's on the procedure of the nomination of these people to the Legislative Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir. Now, if we trace back the root of the issue, we go back to 2019 when by the State Reorganization Act of Jammu and Kashmir, the statehood of J&K was taken and 2 separate UTs were created. UT of J&K and UT of Ladakh. So J&K has an assembly and UT of Ladakh is without an assembly. And in this assembly, we have 90 elected members and 5 nominated members. So these 5 nominated members is where our issue lies at the moment, that how is the nomination of these members going to happen. And even out of these 5, if we quickly look at the breakup, we have 2 women, 2 Kashmiri migrants, and 1 person who's displaced from POK or Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So we need to nominate, LG needs to nominate 5 members to the Legislative Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir, but we are not sure of the procedure. Very recently in a judgment of Supreme Court, the abrogation of Article 370 was upheld, but the Union government has promised to restore statehood for Jammu and Kashmir. And no timeline has been given. It has only said that this will happen, the restoration will happen soon. So this is a challenge as we do not know when this restoration of statehood is going to happen because no timeline has been defined. And J&K is a special case in itself because before 2019, this was a state and after 2019, it was downgraded to a UT, one with an assembly and one without an assembly. So whenever we are in such a tussle where we do not know what to do, the source of truth lies in the Indian Constitution. So what do our constitutional provisions say about the nominated members? Constitution talks about nomination of members to the Rajya Sabha and state legislative councils. Earlier, there were Anglo-Indians who were being nominated to Lok Sabha also and the legislative assemblies also, but that has been scrapped by the 104th Constitutional Amendment Act. Now we have 12 members who are nominated to the Rajya Sabha, and in the states where we have state legislative councils, 1/6 members can be nominated to the state legislative councils. Now for Rajya Sabha, who is responsible for the nomination? It is the president. And our constitution explicitly calls out under Article 74 that the president will act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. So this nomination will also happen on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. For Rajya Sabha, it is the president, and for the state legislative councils, it is the governor, who again acts on the aid and advice of the state's Council of Ministers. So president is acting on the aid and advice of the Union Council of Ministers, governor is acting on the aid and advice of the State Council of Ministers. This is what our constitution talks about. But because Jammu Kashmir is a special case, it was a state before, right now it is a union territory and statehood is expected to be restored soon. Anything that will happen in Jammu Kashmir's case will now set a precedent. So we do not know as to what is going to happen right now because the laws are ambiguous, they are not clear. So in order to understand what can happen with J&K, we can look at cases of UTs with a legislative assembly, which are Delhi and Puducherry. So Delhi is governed by the Government of NCT of Delhi Act 1991 and Puducherry is governed by the UTs Act of 1963. So these acts, they define the elected members and nominated members for the Legislative Assembly of these UTs. So for Delhi, we have 70 elected members, but no nominated members. So this act does not have any provisions for the nomination of members to the Legislative Assembly of Delhi. So this right now is not a relevant comparison for us. Versus Puducherry, it has a 30 plus 3 setup, 30 elected members, 3 nominated members. And these members will be nominated by the LG unilaterally, which means that LG does not need to take any advice from the State's Council of Ministers, or pardon me, the UT's Council of Ministers. So LG is functioning unilaterally, and here Delhi we do not have any nominated members. So whatever happens in the case of Jammu Kashmir, whatever judgment comes, it is going to set a precedent because this is a unique case, as I already mentioned. So we are in a hassle right now. We do not know what is going to happen. So whenever there is a situation where the constitutional provisions say something and there is something else going on in the other UTs with assemblies, who do we resort to? We go to the judiciary. So there are some key court judgments, both in the case of Puducherry and Delhi. So in Puducherry, we have a case that's called K. Lakshmi Narayanan versus Union 2018 case. It had gone to the High Court also and Supreme Court also, and both the times it was said that LG can function unilaterally. As we already saw that in Puducherry's case, LG was functioning unilaterally, and that was upheld by both Madras High Court as well as the Supreme Court. There was only one thing that the Madras High Court additionally said, that it suggested the Parliament to clarify the law because the law is ambiguous. So it suggested that the Parliament clarifies the law, but Supreme Court scrapped this. It did away with the recommendation. It simply said that LG can function unilaterally. Now in the case of NCT of Delhi versus Union of India 2023, this case originally came up because of civil services bureaucracy issues, but an interesting concept came up, which was the triple chain of command. Triple chain of command where we are setting up democratic accountability across different levels. Like the civil servants will be accountable to ministers. Ministers will be accountable to legislature. And who will the legislature be accountable to? The electorate or the people who have elected it. So this is the triple chain of command. This is the triple chain of command to set up democratic accountability so that towards the end, everybody is accountable to the people who have elected these representatives. Civil servants are accountable to ministers. Ministers are accountable to legislature and legislature is accountable to the electorate. This is what we are supposed to follow. That is why there is this contention that LG should function on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers, because these Council of Ministers are elected representatives who have been chosen by the electorate, who is the supreme power, who is the most supreme power in the entire democracy. That is why we do not want the LG to function unilaterally and we do not want it to do away with the recommendations of State Council of Ministers. Now, what can be the issues if LG nominates unilaterally? First, our democratic accountability will be under threat. Democratic accountability and transparency will be under threat. And our elected authorities will be weakened because now we are not listening to, we are not taking into consideration the thoughts, the opinion of our elected authorities, which means we are undermining the value of the electorate, the people, which is the supreme power of our democracy. So this is not something that a healthy democracy would want to do. A stable democracy does not function like this. So this is not a desirable situation where the LG functions unilaterally and the State's Council of Ministers are not taken into confidence or under consideration. So what should be our way forward here? The way forward is that LG should function according to the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. There should be unambiguous laws. The laws must be defined. Right now, there is a lot of ambiguity in the law. That is why this matter is also sub judice. That is the reason that we do not know as to how JNK's case is going to function. So the laws, they need to be unambiguous. There needs to be accountability and transparency in the system. And the center needs to honor its promise of statehood. Just like other states, when JNK also becomes again a fully fledged state, the governor will act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Right now, because it is a UT, the entire dispute has come up. So the center must honor its obligation, must honor its promise, and the timeline of soon should be defined. So that was all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. Now let us practice a question for prelims. With reference to nominated members in Indian legislatures, consider the following statements. 1. The provision for nominating Anglo-Indian members to Parliament and State Assemblies was discontinued through the 104th Constitutional Amendment Act 2019. 2. 1/6 of the members of a state legislative council are nominated by the governor on the advice of the State Council of Ministers. 3. The Government of NCT of Delhi Act 1991 provides for up to 3 nominated members in the Delhi Legislative Assembly. Select the correct answer. 1 only, 2 only, 1, 2 and 3, 1 and 2 only. Please provide your answers in the comment section and we will meet tomorrow with a new video.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.